How All Orders and QuickBooks synchronizes data. All Orders can be run as a standalone inventory and order management system, but one of its main features is its seamless integration with QuickBooks. All Orders can be integrated with all the desktop versions of QuickBooks, including Pro, Premier, and Enterprise. Only one user needs to have All Orders and QuickBooks installed on their machines for syncing purposes. Other users don't need QuickBooks on their machines. Yet, through All Orders, you can enable them to manage lists and transactions which will ultimately be synchronized with QuickBooks. By using the Manage Users function in All Orders, you would assign access levels and rights for your users. Additionally, you would specify which users are connected to QuickBooks and can synchronize. We recommend that you uncheck this setting for everyone other than the admin user, even if they have QuickBooks on their machines. That way, through a single user account, you can control all the synchronization with QuickBooks. When you start an All Orders company database and connect it to QuickBooks, we automatically import all the list, including items with bill of materials is applicable, customers, vendors, and smaller lists like sales reps and terms. We also create adjustments for the opening inventory quantities you have in QuickBooks. We will discuss QuickBooks synchronization options momentarily. Your imported items, customers, vendors, and quantities are found in the List menu. After the initial synchronization, there is a two-way sync with respect to supported lists. For example, you can add a new customer in All Orders and it will be synced to QuickBooks. Or you can change the address of a vendor in QuickBooks and that will go to All Orders. In the menu Help, on the Contents tab, Synchronizing with QuickBooks, and Initial Synchronization, click on the Information is Shared with QuickBooks link to see the table of supported lists All Orders will sync. With regard to transactions, however, there is a one-way sync. Since order and inventory management are so closely related, it is important to initiate inventory transactions like sales orders and purchase orders through All Orders. Then, at the completion of those transactions, say when a sales order is shipped or a purchase order is received, we send posting records into QuickBooks for accounting purposes. In the menu Help and Ongoing Synchronization, this flowchart shows the flow of documents between All Orders and QuickBooks. Note that sales orders, purchase orders, and production orders are created in All Orders. Then we send to QuickBooks as invoices, bills, and adjustments to update the accounts receivable, accounts payable, and inventory subledger. The invoices, bills, and adjustments will be as though you entered them manually directly into QuickBooks. That way, you continue to do your accounting-related functions like accounts receivable and accounts payable in QuickBooks. You will continue to see a detailed transactions history in QuickBooks. The only thing that you will not see in QuickBooks are open sales orders and purchase orders, which are maintained and managed through All Orders. So where do you invoice, from All Orders or QuickBooks? The invoice will always go into QuickBooks in order to update your accounts receivable, but the information for the invoice comes from All Orders. So the real question should be, from where do you print or email the invoice? You can print or email the invoice from either QuickBooks or All Orders because they will have the same information. One of the decisions to be made when using All Orders is whether to synchronize your items. The decision will depend on the number of items your QuickBooks version will support, whether you want the item details on your invoices or bills in QuickBooks, whether you want to use the average cost to value your inventory, or whether you use other integrated applications such as importing web orders that rely on the items being in QuickBooks. You can also decide on whether to sync all the customers in QuickBooks as well. The mechanism All Orders uses to exclude items or customers from QuickBooks is called the proxy. A proxy is a record that represents another record when it syncs with QuickBooks. For example, I can create a single customer in QuickBooks called Web Customer. I then create a customer in All Orders and select Web Customer as its proxy. When an invoice is recorded in QuickBooks from All Orders, it uses the web customer instead of the actual customer. At this point, I'm going to highlight some of the preferences with respect to QuickBooks synchronization. Make sure to consult our user's manual for a more detailed discussion on preferences. You access preferences from the company menu. Once on the preferences, click QuickBooks Synchronization on the left sub-menu. The first few preferences relate to when you should sync, and the rest details with what and how the sync will operate. When you want to synchronize immediately after logging into All Orders, then select Synchronize on Startup. First, open QuickBooks before logging into All Orders. Select Manual to sync on demand, or Auto Sync to synchronize at set intervals. The next preference, Send Unsent Transactions to QuickBooks when syncing, tells All Orders that when transactions are closed, they should be automatically synced. If the preference is not checked, then you will need to tell All Orders to trigger a sync on a transaction-by-transaction basis.